hear that? It's a place devoid of human sound. The ghost town of Kitsault has been uninhabited for more than 30 years. It lies well north of Prince George, hours down a logging road from the nearest highway on an inlet of the Pacific Ocean. So it'll surprise you to learn that a place so quiet has been the spark for a brand new musical. The town brought back to life on stage. Take a listen.
September 1982. In the mountains of northern BC, there's a town that was built for me.
Now, before we talk to the minds behind the musical, you should understand some of the context here. Kitsault was to be a long-term mining town. It was built in the 1970s, state-of-the-art for its day. But while city planners expected it to have a long life, when resource prices crashed a few years later, the mine shut down, and soon after, the town was empty. But here's where it gets really interesting. The town didn't fall apart or rot or get swallowed up by the earth. It was maintained. A Vancouver business person bought it all up about 10 years ago with the hope of one day reviving the town. So the homes still sit furnished, the curling rink, the pool ready for play, the mall ready to welcome businesses and shoppers, and even the hospital still powered and ready to go, despite having 30-year-old equipment. So look, without a doubt, there is a lot of material to work with here, but let me bring in the co-creator of the Kitsault musical, Pucl, joining us right now. And Carl, you just got to explain for me, what was it about the story of the town of Kitsault that just screamed to you musical?
Well, it's the isolation of it, really. I mean, you have a community here that was essentially built for these people, and it's very, very, very far away from most other Canadian cities, even small Canadian towns. So sort of the sound of what a city sounds like when it's abandoned for 33 years led us to go into the direction of what does Kitsault sound like right now. So we started creating a score essentially for this abandoned village.
And just so I can get a better handle on what this is actually going to end up being, I mean, what's the storyline or the plot? I mean, what's it like?
Right. Well, what's really interesting is that we've connected with about 100 residents who used to live in Kitsault, and they're continuing to tell us our stories, and artifacts and mementos are pouring in. So it's really an exciting time for us, and we're in the initial development phase of it. So we're not actually sure where the musical will go. Right now, it's kind of taking on a documentary feel to it because we have so many people's real life stories that we're incorporating into the musical. But as of right now, we're just having fun with it. And, you know, every few months we do a little bit of a workshop and bring people in together and kind of see where we're at. But it's starting to solidify in terms of the story. And, you know, I like to tell people that it's almost like the Titanic of Canadian cities. You know, people arrived and everything was brand new and waiting for them. And we know how the story ends, rather. So when you look at it in that capacity, it's kind of interesting because you have a lot of stories you can tell.
Well, it's a very unique story, and pardon me for saying it's a quirky story, a quirky idea for a musical, certainly. What's the reception been like in terms of trying to find support, trying to find backers for this project?
Well, yeah, creating a musical in Canada is always a challenge because you have the development phase, which is a phase largely done by the artists or their collaborative team, and then you're backed by producers. So right now we don't have any producers on board. It's Douglas Price and myself. We're creating the musical, and then once we have a full show, we are then going to reach out and see where we're going to mount it. Hopefully in BC as well as in Ontario.
Yeah, and so just give me a little bit more of that timeline. I mean, when and where might people be able to expect to actually see this on stage?
Of course. Well, we're hoping for 1 year. We'll be in a fringe festival at some point somewhere in Canada, and then from there we would hope to be within 18 months to 24 months, something that's complete and ready to be put out there.
Well, Carl, it is a fascinating idea, and I look forward to seeing how it turns out. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So interesting.
Yeah. And allow me to say that I think that's proof that there is just no limit to human ingenuity, imagination, creativity.
Yep.
how that even occurs to someone.
I know. It's. I hope they make T-shirts, posters. I will buy it all. I
Just get all the money they can out of this.
Exactly.
Because it is
So
a
cool.
fascinating story of what happened to
know.
this town. One that I think a lot of people probably aren't familiar with.
Yeah, it's new to me. I hope they have an 80s feel to it as well.
We'll have to talk to the musical
Exactly.
director about that. Thanks for joining us, folks. Have a great weekend. Take care.
Good night.